Hello, my dear friends. I'm Stanislav Shamayev, a licensed business immigration and corporate attorney in Miami, Florida. And in today's video, I will be comparing L-1 and E-2 visas to the United States of America. At the end of this video, you will be able to learn how to get a free evaluation of your case with these two visas. Let's go! Okay guys, I've noticed that you've been pretty active asking me a lot of questions about L-1 visa and E-2 visa, and I had quite a few immigration plannings with you lately, and I noticed that there is certain misunderstanding, not as much about getting those visas, but more about extending them. And I think this is really crucial to understand because, okay, I will get you L-1 visa, I will get you E-2 visa, but my concern is not only to get you those visas, but also to extend them. I see that some of my clients don't think a few years ahead, and not because they are not strategical, no, nothing like that, because you guys, all business people, you all investors, you think probably 5-10 years ahead, right? And I do respect that. However, when you deal with the immigration process, with the USCIS, with the US government, it's so overwhelming that you are focusing on one step at a time. But without strategical planning on how you're gonna do in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years, it's pretty much impossible to get the proper program for you, and that's what I'm doing at immigration plannings with you guys. Let's talk about L-1 visa and E-2 visa and why it's not always reasonable to do one or the other, right? Okay, so let's take a step back. If you guys didn't watch this video about L-1 visa, about the criteria and how to get it and the process, and that video about E-2 visa, about its criteria, I call them the basic videos. You have to watch them because this video is more like intermediate level. So if you don't understand the basics about these both visas, you're gonna waste your time. So please stop this video, watch the other two, and then come back if you don't understand what I'm talking about. So the biggest difference between L-1 and E-2, and I'm not gonna talking about the money invested and the countries and the treaty countries for E-2, this is basic stuff, right? I'm gonna talking about hardcore, deep criteria that you need to understand in order to pick and make the right choice. Visa L-1 is the visa for the top management, for executives, or for people with unique knowledge within the business who are being transferred from one company outside of the United States to another company in the United States of America in the same position of management, executive, or unique knowledge in that company. E-2 visa is focusing more on the US business and the amount of money invested and the proof of funds for that money and for the marginality of that business in the future. The critical thing to understand the difference between L1 E2 is marginality business for E2 visa and a management or executive position in L1 visa. This is the framework of our analysis today. Stanislav, why are you talking about thinking about a year, 3 years and 5 years? Is there something particular about those landmarks, about those points in the future? Yes, if you're asking that questions, you got it quite right, because year number 1, year number 3, and year number 5 are the crucial, first of all, in the business plans that you have to create for your L1 or E2 business. Of course, if L-1 visa is a transfer into an existing business that's been established and running and growing and scaling, then probably business plan is not that important. And the same with the E-2 visa. If you purchased the business in the States or the assets of this business that's been running and everything already set up, and you need only to control it, direct it, and maybe scale it a little bit, then business plan is not something that I will be pushing you to create. However, if we're talking about startups, when you start a new business in the States for L-1 visa or for E-2 visa, this is when the business plan is a huge deal. And you need to pay a very close attention to that document, because the business plan is going to explain how you're going to manage and execute your company from an L1 side and how you're going to scale your business for E2 so it's not marginal. What's marginal business in understanding of immigration services? Well, there is is a pretty clear definition in the law, in the manual, that says that a marginal business is the business that only supports the family of the investor. This is crucial to understand, right? So if you establish the business for E2 and this is enough only to support your lifestyle in the States and the lifestyle of your family, you will not get an extension for your E2 business. You need to bring some economical impact, and that impact could be in the form of being profitable or hiring the employees. This is very important. On the part of L1, we're talking only about how many people are going to be in your business to relieve you from day-to-day routine. So now let's talk about L1 visa. Yes, you will be getting your L1 visa once you lease an office in the States. That's enough to support the amount of employees you have at the end of year one. If you've been in a managerial or executive position in the company outside of the US and you are being transferred to the US company that's affiliated with a foreign company. In the business plan, we want to see at least 5 people at the end of year 1. I want to see 8 people under your control at the end of year 3, and year 5 the company should be 8 employees plus to be able to sustain the business that it's running. So that's for L1 visa. For E2 visa, so anywhere from year 3 to year 5, the business should not be marginal. And those are 2 main landmarks that you need to remember when thinking about L1 visa and E2 visa. And why I'm talking about this? Because you guys come to immigration planning and you give me all these great ideas about L1 visa, and at the end of the day I realized that this idea is not gonna work because your idea does not provide the number of people by the end of year 1, by the end of year 3. So I want to make sure that you guys not only get this visa, but you can extend it. And a lot of times this happens when you have to outsource some services from outside of the US, or it's some kind of IT cloud businesses, right? Like IT startups. The same thing. You don't want to hire the Americans because it's expensive, and maybe with the lower quality of work, right? So you want to outsource IT people from all over the world and then say, hey, I have these 7 people working for the business, but they're not in the US and they're not in the company. We cannot say that the company has these people, they're contractors. Yes, it seems like the business is doing great and it's profitable and there's like people working for it, but they are not working by the definition of the immigration services. You need to pay attention to how many people you're going to hire and where are those people are going to be located. They have to be either US citizens or green card holders or foreigners with work permits in the US, and they have to work on W2. So they have to get a paycheck from your company, not through the contract work. Lots of times when I see that this idea is not going to be supported by employees by the end of year 1 and year 3, we look for the opportunities for E2 visa and or O1 visa, a visa for a talented businessman. With E2 visa, it's matched with the number of people you will need to hire, maybe 2 to 3 employees in the States, and profitability above $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year is going to sustain your business for the number of years. And if that's the base you need to stabilize before scaling your business, that's totally fine. You can see how different L1 is looking at the scale and growth of your business and how it's different from E2 visa. Okay, let's now talk about also the amount of money. Some people think that they will be spending less money on L1 visa because there is no requirement for the investment in the law. However, this is not so in 90% of the time, because if you calculate 5 people working for new office for the startup for L1 visa a year, you can easily run to $200,000 just spent on the salaries. And I'm talking about maybe 3 to 4 people working for, let's say, $15 an hour. It's probably really hard to find anybody in the States who would work for less money at this point. And if you have one manager or somebody who's some kind of control over the employees, you'll have to pay him anywhere from $40,000 to probably $60,000 to $70,000. So if if you add up all those salaries for 40-hour week, again, it's $200,000, maybe $250,000, maybe even $300,000 just spent on salaries. When you plan to open up a L1 startup and put $60,000, you may face a little bit of problem as you go through, and in case you miscalculated the market, if you still need more research and development for your business, you'll have to put more and more money, and if you don't have that additional investment for L1 visa, it could be a problem. So why I'm saying this, guys, you need to be very strategic, not only how to get L1 visa or E-2 visa, but how you're gonna scale and what kind of risks are involved in these two enterprises. With E-2 visa, it's a little bit easier on the investment, although I always say, make sure that the amount you plan to investment, you have the same amount in your back pocket in case something happens and you can spend that money on some unforeseen things that happen in the business. Smash that like button, guys, if you think that my message is valuable for you. And again, we need to think 5 years ahead when we plan to do the startup business here in US, be it L1 visa, be it E2 visa, and even if it's O1 visa. I didn't put that visa in the mix, but you know, this is a great way for businessmen all across the globe to come here in US and have your own company as your employer for the purpose of this business. If you think that you qualify for L1 visa or for E2 visa, please go down below this video and fill out the questionnaire that I prepared for you. Give me as many details as you can, because if you guys just answer the questions yes, no, that's going to be my analysis, yes or no, right? So please give me as much details. Spend 20 to 30 good minutes. So I spent the same amount of money analyzing your situation and giving you a free evaluation of your case within 48 hours. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my Instagram in English, to my TikTok, because if you guys not subscribe to those platforms, you're missing out on a lot of information that I post almost every day. I am Stanislav Shamayev, the lawyer of your future. Your future begins here. Good luck.